All right, so I have some tough shoes to follow. I wasn't here yesterday, but after the few speakers today, I guess I'll have to turn on my comedy act to get everybody going. So I am going to use the baton because after seeing Jeff with the earpiece, it wouldn't look good in my hair, and with this thick hair, it will get lost. So, all right, so we're going to talk about mobile marketing today. It's good following up after talking about direct mail and different types of contact methods and social media, because the advertising world, marketing world, the customer connection world is definitely changing. And a big part about what I'm going to talk about today is how do you integrate that and communicate to your customers and for your clients through text marketing, which most people think that's American Idol and the Obama campaign, and that is not the case. And if you're still in that mindset, hopefully when you leave here today, you will be out of that mindset, or you will be the last to the ball. So I hope to change that. So a little bit about text marketing and where the marketing is at today, where the industry is at in the U.S. And I'm going to talk a lot about the U.S. We do stuff internationally, and we can talk internationally if you want, but I'm going to keep a lot of the stats to the U.S. so you can really relate that to your clients and what's going on here. There's 270 million cell phones in the U.S., and that is dramatically rising on a monthly basis. Of that, 95% of those have texting. So it is the contact method to get a hold of people. So as Jeff was talking about earlier, you can text somebody and get an instant response. You try to call them, they're in a meeting, texting is surpassing voice by far. Texting as a whole is seeing 94% open rates in 9 minutes or less, with average 15% response rates. So when you talk about the next instant way to reach marketing and reach someone instantly, it's not email anymore. So it is text messaging. If you want to reach somebody and have them come into your retail location tonight, email is not going to cut it. Text messaging is how you're going to get to them to do that kind of behavior. I know people have talked about different stats today about email open rates, and a lot of it depends on, are you a current customer, is it spam, are you buying a list, things like that. But as an average, as a whole, if you're looking at 15% open rates, 20% if you're doing well on the high side, and average open rates of 12 hours or more. If you look back, email used to be the way to instantly reach your customers and instantly reach prospects. But if you're anything like me, and I'm sure most of the business people in here, you've got your business email address, you've got your personal, give it to your spam people email address, and you may have a few other ones that you don't know about that you haven't turned off in years that are still having a spam junk folder that's by the thousands by the time you go look at it. And then the biggest nomenclature is it's just the teens, right? It's just the teens texting. It's just the teens and tweens that are texting. Adults don't text. How many people in this room have text today? Yeah, exactly. So when you look at a business environment, if you even think back 6 months ago and you're sitting at a meeting, people's phone rang, you'd have the lovely people in the meeting that answer their phone, right? And then you have the other people that, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to put it on vibrate, right? And then you have now in the meetings of, oh, well, that's a text, I need to answer that. Meetings stop now because of text messaging. You hear the ding on your phone for email, it's email, you'll get to it later, right? And when you do get to your BlackBerry or iPhone or whatever you're using, you're scrolling through your email, seeing who's relevant, right? But that text message, if you guys got a text message right now, and most of you obviously have your phones on vibrate, but you're going to sit there and look at it. You're not going to care that I'm speaking. You're not going to care that you're in the middle. You're going to look at the text message because somebody's trying to get a hold of you. And that's the difference that texting is changing the industry, because it's instant. It has the different beep, and you're opening it instantly. The 82% of 18 to 49-year-olds are using texting on a daily basis. So actually the fastest growing texting population that's quadrupled in the last 6 months is your 35 to 54-year-old demographic. So just like when Facebook, 6 months ago, that was their, climbing demographic, it's the same thing with texting. Everybody's a little slower to get there, but now you have to get with the times, that you have to, do that to communicate. So that is a fast growing, so when your clients ask you, and agencies come to us all the time and we have this conversation, well, my client still thinks that it's just teens and tweens. It's like, ask them if they have a kid that's 20 plus and that they're having to communicate. Ask them how they're communicating to executives within their organization, and then it really start to sink in of where the industry's at today. The thing that I think is really interesting about the email versus texting is there's a lot of studies that have gone on, and some great research has gone into mobile marketing and mobile marketing by different industries. And as Jeff was talking about earlier, and I sat there and smiled because some of the things that he's talking about of the demographics that's coming up is very true. And we talk to our ad agencies that we work with about this on a daily basis. Is your marketing is changing hugely today, but look at it in 5 years and it's going to be a completely different ballgame. Why? Because those teens and tweens, they don't watch TV commercials. They DVR everything. And half the times they're not even watching it because they're playing PlayStations and Xboxes and whatever the new versions are of video games, or they're doing it online and they're watching TV online. They go grab an episode online and get it from a torrent or somewhere that is free, and bring it on. And from an advertising standpoint, it's very hard to reach that demographic because they don't have email. And it's either text messaging or social media, and that's the only way to reach them. It was funny, about 6 months ago, we had a client come to us that did the pre-SAT scores. So they were, high school kind of demographic. And their big deal is, we've been marketing, doing this for 25 years, and we're stuck. And we're stuck because there is no email address, and we're getting so backlash because when kids register for the courses, they charge it to their parents' credit card, right? Because they're not paying for it. And they don't have an email address for them to communicate. So all the emails going to the parents. And so the opt-out rate on emails through the roof because the parents are getting tips on how to take the SATs. And they obviously are clearly not forwarding that to their kid because they don't have an email address. So really having to change behavior of how you communicate to that demographic. And now even how do you communicate to the business demographic is changing too. And I like to call it our SAD consumer. And that's the social ADD consumer, which is what we all are. Someone said ADD earlier, but we've all developed ADD. So I think that has a lot to do with it. So 33% of emails are changing at least once a year, and less than 5% of cell phone numbers are changing. So if you look at less than 5% of cell phones changing, with number portability, you're not changing your cell phone. So, most people would rather, give up their right arm than have their cell phone number change, regardless if, with the iPhone, a lot of people changed to, AT&T, right? But you sure weren't going to switch your phone number just to get an iPhone. So the number portability is a huge thing. And, really we call it, your cell phone number is your new social security number. It really is, because if you think about, regardless of where you move, regardless of your address change, regardless of how many jobs you change, where you move, that's the one thing that people know how to get a hold of you. It's not your email address, it's not your home address, it's not anything, it's your cell phone number. So you will see a lot of customers migrating and using cell phone number as a customer reference number of point of entry when tracking customers, because that's the one thing that stays the same. A lot of customers, retailers, manufacturers struggle with being able to track product because people change their addresses so much and email addresses, but they don't change the cell phone number. So a little bit about the texting. I had a lot of people last night at dinner ask me about how texting works. And I was asked to put this slide together to kind of break it down. A lot of folks, especially on the agency side, are wanting to know, need to be more educated to talk to their customers about how texting really works and how you do it in mass. How do you do it to businesses? How do you do it out to consumers? It's not just a